In this video, I want to show you how to effectively use Quadra to resurface a mesh, and also share with you some tips and tricks. So a couple of them are pretty simple and straightforward. The first thing I want to do is actually select the mesh here, and you'll see that I have actually two mesh objects. So if you're sculpting something in ZBrush or Mudbox, what I suggest doing is either in ZBrush it's a little bit easier, but if you can't do it in either application, just bring the mesh into Maya and delete half of it, and then basically just create an instant mirror. So this does a couple things. The most important, it actually allows you to use symmetry within Quadra, which I'll show you in just a second. So let's get started. I'm going to select both sides and actually go to Object Display and just say See-Through and Freeze. So now it's a little bit harder to select and a little bit easier to see. So what I'm going to do now is just select the right side and go over here within NEX again and say Edit Poly. And within Surface Slide, you have basically some options. And I'm going to display that over here. So I have the right side of this mesh selected, actually the left side of the face, the right side to our view, and just say make the selection the sliding surface constraint. That I'll show you that we could have done within Quadra, but I'm going to do it here and I'll show you why in a second. And I'm going to also say enable surface slide. So now that we have those two buttons enabled or basically applied, we can now go within Quadra and just basically see that right off the bat we have that mesh, which was called box01_4, set already to be our sliding surface constraint. So when we start applying points, you can see that it's applying right on top of that surface, just like that. Now we could have done that right here within Quadra. You can see we can switch to the grid or the other object, or switch to the object we have selected here. But the benefit to doing it here is that we can actually switch from Quadra to any other tool and it'll actually respect the surface constraint, specifically the move, rotate, scale, and even the extrude. Which I'll show you in just a second. But you'll notice now that I can just create these points, and you can see that as I drop it, you can see I can pull it all the way to the edge, and it's not pulling it past that side of the surface. And that's because it's just locked to that surface. So we basically get symmetry essentially for free. So if I just start pulling these guys here, and if you kind of get locked, just kind of zoom in, get a better angle, and then just push it as far as you can up into that edge until you get that lock to that side. You can see now I can just create this surface just like that, and it applies just like that. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I have half of it done, or basically applied on that side, what I can do now is just go over here to duplicate and make sure I have instance enable and just click duplicate, and I'll close that and I'll just scale it to the other side, and I'll be a little bit more accurate with that. So I'll just type in -1. So now we have the same mesh basically applied to their side, and I'm just going to select this again and go back into Quadra, and now I can just add to this, and you'll see as soon as I add a polygon it applies to both sides. So basically anything I do now to one side is going to apply to both sides. So again, we basically have symmetry enabled. Now the next trick I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually stop this video and come back so I don't lose any of the stuff I've just shared with you now.